discuss the hazardous impact of illegal sand mining in different parts of the country. What can be the measures in controlling them? Okay, this is the question. Okay. Now, before I get into this question, there is one discussion I want to have with you. The concept of sustainable mining. Okay, I want you to know this, and this you can use across different type of answers. Okay, what is the concept of sustainable mining? There are four things here that this has been recommended under Hoda committee. Remember this? Some of the amendments made, there have been amendments made under MMDR 1957 Act. The objective of sustainable mining includes social development and assuring investments for local area development, and this has now been included in district mineral foundation. This already has happened. Now, in sustainable mining, the issues that are addressed, this include forest clearance safeguards, okay, as in you have to make sure that the deforestation not rampant, protection for biodiversity, restoration of natural hydrology, rights against arbitrary evictions and displacement. It also includes assuring royalties to local areas, appropriate compensation to communities, and it also includes post-mining, revival of local biodiversity and local economy. So please write these down. So there are 7 issues which are part of sustainable mining. Okay, one is forest clearance, or you can rephrase this as protection against rampant deforestation. I think this is a better phrase. Protection against rampant deforestation, protection for biodiversity, restoration of natural hydrology, because mountains hain, highlands hain, the local hydrology does get impacted. Right against arbitrary evictions and displacement, assuring royalty to local areas. So this is one of those tricky issues where the local population demands some kind of royalties because of their resources and the land. Okay, appropriate compensation to communities, post-mining revival of local biodiversity. So once the region has been exploited for mining, when the mining gets over, okay, the landfill is done, or there are open quarries, invariably that land becomes barren. This is a typical problem for areas related to open mines, open quarries of coal mining, or open quarries of mica mining. There are huge depressions where the rocks, and even in sand mining. So post mining ke baad mein, that local biodiversity has to be revived, along with the local economy also has to be sustained. Okay, now these are the issues that have to be addressed. Now, why these issues? Ye issues utte kyun hain? Why are these issues? Because of 3-4 reasons. One is that mining sector is largely unorganized, and hence regulations rarely followed. That's one aspect. Second aspect is the lot of legal loopholes, and local rights, they get compromised. Now, open quarry mines, I hope you know what is the meaning of open quarry. The land can be dug up from top. Open quarry mines and increasing acceptance of low grade iron ore, and low-grade coal has encouraged selective mining and rat hole mining. Rat hole mining, okay, this is anybody can mine anywhere. They're also called as artisanal mining. This type of mining does not need too much of technology or too much of sophisticated instruments. Anybody can go in their backyards, common land, and start mining. Okay, so what this has done is this has left a lot of environmental problems here. Apart from this, we also have the problem of low technology and lack of labor protection. So this has made mining hazardous. So ये कुछ issues हैं. And if you look at mining, you'll find that most mine areas coincide with forest areas and tribal areas. The consequence is whenever you have got mines, the forest region gets compromised and the tribal rights also gets compromised. Most mining districts are poor districts, and that's one reason why we have got mafias, we have got tribal exploitation. Land ownership and land rights are complex issues in mining regions. इसीलिए exploitation is very, very high. Okay, and inadequate compensation is responsible for a social dissatisfaction. So the community rights are invariably compromised. I hope you have written as much. So I'll just take you through the conversation again. So if you're looking at mining, I'm talking about the concept of sustainable mining. So some facts about the sustainable mining concept was suggested by Hoda Committee. I have a document here. Okay, Hoda Committee was set up in 2005, and the MMDR Act has been revised. Okay, and the National Mineral Policy 2008 reflects most of the recommendations of Hoda Committee, okay, for sustainable mining. Okay, so क्या issues हैं, what they have to protect against. These are the 7 issues that they have to protect against. Okay, rampant deforestation, protection for biodiversity, restoration of natural hydrology. We have to have rights against eviction and arbitrary displacement, some type of royalty for the local areas, compensation to communities, and post-mining, after the mining is done, after the mining process is over or that resources are exhausted, then there has to be some kind of process where the region can revive its biodiversity and can revive its local economy. It should not mean that they are abandoned. Okay, ये abandoned जो है, a lot of area ultimately are not able to get back their old productivity. Okay, and this is found in areas of coal mining. Coal mining areas mein, it's almost like we have got totally degraded land with no forests, no vegetation, no agriculture possible in those regions. These areas ultimately have been destroyed. We find this in areas of Raniganj coal fields. Okay, so I'll talk about some of the areas there. Okay, so we need some mechanism by which the local biodiversity and the local economy can also be revived. So if I look at this, the reality is, now these are the set of realities that we have. Okay, the reality is that the mining sector, why are we even looking at these issues? The reality is the mining sector is unorganized. There are no good regulations that are followed. The lot of loopholes in the local rights therefore gets compromised. There are open quarry mines. Open quarry mines are easy to extract, easy to exploit. And the acceptance of low-grade iron ore. When the iron ore quality required is not very, very high quality iron ore, then it goes into what's called as selective mining and rat hole mining. It's also called as artisanal mining or unorganized mining. Okay, this is very wasteful and this is also exploitative. It is difficult to regulate this. And because there are, selective mining means you are mining wherever you are comfortable mining. Okay, the right technique of mining will be that you mine in continuous belts. Okay, so imagine you have this patch of area with some resources. So one technique of mining is called a strip mining, where you mine continuously one layer, then you mine again continuously, then you mine again continuously, you mine again continuously. You have got strips. But selective mining में क्या होता है? Anybody can mine anywhere. You mine here, you mine here, some mining is done here, some is done here, some is done here. Okay, so this type of mining में बहुत wastage है. Like these type of areas are left out. Yes, Meghalaya, Northeast में this type of mining is very, very common, and it results in a lot of problems also, problems related to wastage and even mine disasters. That's what we mean by selective mining. Selective mining, rat hole mining, and artisanal mining. Then the technology levels used are very, very not the best in the market, in the industry, and very low labor protection. So you end up having mining hazards. Mining hazards में fire आता है, collapse of mine roofs आते हैं, problems of flooding in the mines. Okay, these are common mining hazards. Yes, child labor is very, very common, absolutely. And therefore, so most of the mine regions क्या है? They coincide with the forest areas and the tribal areas. Most of the mining areas, they are poor districts where mafias operate, tribal exploitation is very, very high. ऐसे भी land ownership is a tricky issue, and land ownership in the mining region becomes all the more complex. There is inadequate compensation. Compensation is not given adequately, okay, which does not compensate for the social problems, and the community rights are invariably compromised. So there's a definition, it says, लिख लो आप, what do you mean by sustainable mining? Okay, so the concept of sustainable mining क्या है? Okay, so there are 4 components of sustainable mining. Number 1 component is that it has to be socially responsible. So what we mean by this is there should be some kind of protection of local rights. We have to have social infrastructure for health and education for social objectives. The wealth creation should outlast the life of the mine. ऐसा ना हो कि the mine is over and all the social benefits are also compromised. There has to be some kind of a system where the benefits and the wealth created should outlast the life of the mine. So components of sustainable mining includes socially responsible mining. The second component is it has to be environmentally and scientifically sound methods. So we're talking about proper management of the region, and economically and scientifically sound methods. The third is there has to be long-term view of development. So we're looking at rehabilitation. We're talking about long-term livelihood. That should be community participation. And finally, there must be optimal use of the minerals. I mean, no wastage, or minimize wastage, and conservation and development of minerals. So these are the four objectives under sustainable mining. So we are looking at some kind of a model where mining practices and the regulations are mutually beneficial. What I mean by this, it must help the industries, it must help the local region, it must support the local communities and also environmental objectives. The mining practices and regulations and are mutually beneficial. So all of this must benefit each other. Industrial development, development of the local region, community development, and also achieving the environmental objectives. Is that good, all of you? So we have a sustainable development framework for this. We have a sustainable development framework which we want to use. So now see, I don't expect कि ये particular question आपको पूछा जाएगा. All of this is essentially a part of any other answer. When you end the answer on mining, if you end the answer on industrial development or end the answer on tribal development, ये add कर सकते हो. That by virtue of the presence of mines and mining activities, we have to follow the principles of sustainable mining, a sustainable development framework. This is the SDF for mining. All fine? Now, remember, this is a part of your say notes mein. So, major environmental and social concerns related to mining in different parts of India. आप ये जान लो, इसको कैसे यूज करना है बाद में देखा जाएगा. Okay, major environmental and social concerns related to mining in different parts of India. So number one is coal belt mein. You can give a case study of Raniganj coal fields. You can talk about coal mining in parts of Burdwan district, coal mining in parts of Dhanbad. So we have problems of coal mine fires. We have problems of open quarries. We have collapse of mine roofs and illegal rat hole mining. ये coal belt का, so example Raniganj coal fields, Burdwan coal fields, Dhanbad coal regions. This is one. Number two, Bellary Hospet. Okay, this is illegal iron ore mining. This also is and in Goa, खासकर in parts of South Goa. In these regions, again, we have got illegal iron ore mining, selective mining, loss to public exchequer, okay, Bellary Hospet. Then the third is Meghalaya. यहाँ पर भी coal mining है, open quarry and rat hole mining and mine flooding. Meghalaya region. Fourth area, we have Aravalis. यहाँ पर sandstone mining, limestone and marble. We also have illegal sand mining. Results in deforestation, impacts groundwater hydrology and loss of topsoils. Southern Western Ghats, south of Wayanad, Calicut, यहाँ पर है bauxite mining, loss of laterite tops, water percolation and landslides. I hope you know this. There's a mountain here. Wherever you have got lateritic formation, this is like a cap. This is like a cap. And what this cap does is, this cap protects the relatively softer rocks here. But if you do mining and you remove these layers, and this type of layer is very hard layer, this hard layer will not allow for water to percolate. But once you have done mining, say आपने अगर ये वाला part mining कर दिया, so see what happens now. ये hard top अभी भी है, hard top here, but in this part, this soft rock gets exposed. So now when we have rains, the water percolates, percolates. So this region now is vulnerable to landslides. Okay, so this land here, it can collapse. This land here can collapse. Okay, yes, it has happened. It has happened in 2020, 2019 में. So this can impact. So यहाँ पर तो चलो ठीक है, lateritic caps रह गया, but the lateritic cap here has now gone. So ये 4-5 problems you can show as a part of a map of India. Okay, so we have in this region, Meghalaya region, Bellary Hospet, Aravallis, Southern Ghats. So you can mention this in labeled discussion, different parts. You can always add number 6 here. Okay, mining in Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. Okay, so ये tribal belt है. So deforestation, displacement of tribes. So you can add something here. Okay, you can mention places, areas. Bastar hills, Ari Dongri mines, around Hasdeo forests. ये part of Chhattisgarh में है, around Hasdeo forests in Chhattisgarh. So we mentioned as much. I think that's a good, decent depiction of. Okay, and sand mining तो across है. Sand mining is along the Kerala coast, sand mining along parts of Aravallis, sand mining in parts of UP along the Ganga, sand mining along the coasts of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh. Sand mining to different parts of India hai. You can pick up any area. The sand mining primarily is primarily for construction. Sand mining near urban areas for construction. It comes under minor minerals and therefore under state governments and poorly monitored. Sand mines for construction, they come under state government's purview to make laws, to have regulations to manage those. They are the least managed. A lot of mafias here, the state governments are not as adequately staffed and resources available to take care of the mining mafias of sand mining. So all of you, can you show this now? You can mention this as regional depiction of mining problems in different parts of the country. All fine here? So I've explained what I mean by sustainable mining. What are these objectives? What are the issues? Why we need to do that? And this is an idea about Huda Committee 2005, added as a part of National Mineral Policy. Some of the provisions are part of the MMDR Act 1957. And also, it has incorporated the idea of District Mineral Foundation, like a fund for the social development, for its type of compensation to the local communities for the land being used for mining. Yes, Durga Shakti Nagpal was very active against sand mafia, and then she had to go quiet for some time. She almost got hounded. Okay, so I think that issue is now taken care. But yes, see, she definitely went very aggressive with her interventions. Okay? So if I ask you a question of how sustainable mining is part of development, Sustainable mining is part of mining development. Okay, you can answer this. Okay. Last point, sand mining for urban areas. Okay, why? Because for construction, and sand mining comes under minor minerals. Minor minerals, they are under the state government. The center does not regulate or manage the minor minerals. Okay, and therefore, there is improper legal provisions, monitoring, and that scales up into a lot of illegal mining. Okay? So that's about sustainable development of mining. Now you come to the question that I had asked you. Okay, the question was, discuss the hazardous impact of sand mining in different parts of the country. What can be the measures in controlling them? तो ये जो measures हैं, these measures partly include the sustainable development of mining sector. So let's start off discussions on this question. Discuss the hazardous impact of sand mining in different parts of the country. अब इसमें बताओ, what is stated, what is asked, and what's the conclusion. तो बताओ, what is stated? Stated is that sand mining is done in different parts of India and that it is a hazardous. And what's asked is, why and how is sand mining hazardous? क्यों sand mining hazardous है वो बताओ. And also asked is solutions and conclusions. You can add up all of this together as conclusions. ठीक है? How and why is it hazardous? ये समझाना है. What's asked, ये body of the answer होगा. What is stated is that sand mining is done in different parts, plus that it is hazardous. These 2 points have been established. How is it hazardous? Why hazardous is the explanation they want you to tell us along with solutions. Yes, correct. So now you try the answer and you say introduction. Okay, so mining sector covered under MMDR 1957. Mining is largely unorganized and more so sand mining, with the growth and boom in urban real estate. Okay, so mining sector is mostly covered under MMDR 57, which fact bata diya. Mining is largely unorganized, and sand mining jo hai, it started with the growth of the real estate. And sand mining is very common across all regions except locations in hard peninsular blocks. जहां पर hard peninsular rocks हैं, those area does not have so much of sand mining. Otherwise, all other areas have some type of mining. So, unorganized sand mining is typically a feature of coastal plains and river floodplains and dry river beds. Okay, so in general, the mining is unorganized. Sand mining because of real estate. The most common area of mining is all across, in particular, along the coastal plains and along the river floodplains. Yes, river beds, जहां पर पानी सूखा है or they have a dam, the river is not too deep or the river gets seasonal. All those areas along the rivers can have sand mining. ठीक है? So, can we have a map on this? But can you tell me what are the areas where we can have sand mining? Give me a list of, without you actually studying for this. बताया आपको, Malabar region, Coromandel region, Godavari, Krishna Basin, Odisha coast, Aravalis, northern plains of UP and Bihar, middle Himalayas of उत्तरांचल, हिमाचल, यहाँ भी होता है mining. Yes, Doab region. Have heard about those Bhur deposits in parts of Upper Ganga Plains around Moradabad, Bareilly? सुना आपने? Bhur, BHUR. Yeah, those are sand accumulations. So regions notorious for sand mining. इसको आप बॉक्स में डाल दो. So draw this, please. Northern plains. This is Aravalis. This is Chilka and Odisha plains. This is Godavari river basin. This is Krishna river basin. Malabar coast, Coromandel coast. Bhur is in parts of Upper Ganga plains around Moradabad and Bareilly. There are sand deposits along the floodplains. They're called as Bhur, B-H-U-R. ठीक है? Northwestern UP, correct. Now, what are the impacts? So what are the impacts of sand mining? This is a good example of a robber industry, where you are robbing things from the land. A good example of the robber industry. Hazardous impact on 4 ways. One is, of course, land degradation, loss of topsoil, loss of agriculture productivity. These are land fills that are barren. एक rule है, if you are mining sand, you must fill up that area with something. But when you fill up, you don't really get back your productivity. They almost become barren lands. Loss of topsoil, loss of agriculture productivity. Okay, landfills leave behind barren lands. The second type, of course, is the impact slopes, natural hydrological flows. They reduce infiltration of groundwater, increase in surface runoff and therefore floods, and also loss of agriculture productivity. So यहाँ पर भी agriculture productivity, why the soil is lost. Here you have impact on the surface runoff, and even that impacts agricultural productivity. You can go on, talk about deforestation. Yes, groundwater pollution. So sand mining also results in land wastage. Okay, so जो इतना बड़ा लैंड था, आपने यहाँ गड्ढा कर दिया, यहाँ गड्ढा कर दिया, यहाँ गड्ढा कर दिया. Okay, so land wastage है. This further accelerates, yes, long-term desertification. It accelerates long-term desertification. Now, sand mining also causes increased dust, increased aerosols, and therefore increased pollution of urban industrial regions. When the pollution level increases in Delhi NCR, they stop all construction activities because the dust that gets thrown, okay, so that dust can result in more pollution, more aerosols, moisture can get trapped. It creates more fogs, more pollution, smogs. That's why they are heavily regulated in and around the urban regions. So Delhi में ये problem रहा है. Delhi NCR में sand mining is related to the increased fog levels, resulted in increased fog levels, or increased fog का other health consequences. We're talking about breathing problems, wheezing, and the rest. Okay, so what are the consequences of sand mining? ये land wastage है, health problems हैं, problems related to deforestation, the slopes are impacted, groundwater starts reducing, land degradation, and desertification. And this you are supporting with this map. You can always put some specific consequences in different parts. कहीं floods हो गया, कहीं पर deforestation हो गया. In some areas, you have lost agricultural productivity. So you can mention anything that you want to add, use your understanding and add it. What are the impacts of sand mining? Gahirmata coast में mining, you can always add. ये मैं लिखा था चिल्का ओडिशा जो coast है, यहाँ पे you can add on that sand mining impacting Gahirmata coast, rookery. Rookery is where they lay their eggs. Gahirmata coast, इसको एक term है, इस आरीबादा बोलते हैं. Aribada, yes, correct. And I was reading somewhere, Aribada is a Spanish word that means arrival by sea. I'm surprised. I did not know this till somebody told that to me. Aribada is a Spanish word. Basically, the turtles coming on the shore is called as Aribada, and that region becomes the rookery. Rookery is the area where they lay their eggs. So please add this as a case study. And you can also add one case study for Aravallis. Aravalli sand mining, and this has resulted in fall of groundwater table. You have got increased water stress. And add these points. Okay? What is sand mining and what are the disastrous consequences? And then you move on towards what are the solutions. What are the solutions? Solution दो तीन है. One is the laws have to be strengthen the laws, because sand mining for construction is a minor mineral. Difficult for the center to regulate this. The second important, of course, is has to be monitoring and inspections, post mining closure of pits has to be made mandatory. When you mine and leave a large gaping gap here, आपको इसको भरना पड़ेगा. कैसे भरेंगे, कहाँ से लेके आएंगे, that's your choice. And this area has to be planted, agriculture or forest plantations. ठीक है? They have to be made mandatory. Eco belts, yes. ठीक है? And of course, you can always talk about restoration of, post mining closure of pits. The pits have to be closed, and restoration of natural hydrology. इसके साथ ही tracking pollution because of discharge of waste. So once this mining is done, the waste which is generated, it has to be tracked कि कहाँ पर वो impacting water bodies, impacting agricultural land, restoration of natural hydrology. And in the conclusion, you can add the concept of sustainable mining. 2-3 lines. A mining that is socially responsible, a mining that takes care of legal rights of the local people, it takes care of hydrology and environment, it's long-term sustainable across generations. So वैसे head लगाकर sand mining. You also need some amount of reforms or amendments in how the minerals are classified between major and minor types. This major minor का जो classification है, that has caused problems in regulating and managing them. ठीक है? So I think that's about mines, more or less. Okay.